Well, this controversial new law goes into effect July 1st. It prohibits Florida educators from discussing sexual orientation and gender identity with primary school children. Republican Governor Ron DeSantis on Monday signing the Parental Rights in Education bill, making Florida the first ever to ban classroom topics that are not considered age appropriate. At least 15 other states are reviewing similar legislation. Julia Manchester from The Hill joining me now. Good morning to you. In Florida, primary school reportedly is K through third grade. So this would be children 8 years and younger.
Yes, absolutely, Adrienne. And that's what supporters of this law are really trying to drive home, that this is impacting students that are 8 years and younger and not necessarily impacting all high school, middle school, and elementary school students. But I think what this Parental Rights in Education bill is really driving home is the fact that its proponents are trying to really latch on to this parental rights movement in the United States, especially when it comes to school districts. Now, ever since the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic, we've seen that parental rights has become a very big issue, not only for conservatives, but even for some liberals when it comes to school closures or even the material that is taught in the classroom. So that's really what you're hearing from this law, which essentially prohibits teachers and students in the classroom from talking about anything relating to gender or sexuality. And if a student were to disclose something and that student is age 8 or lower in third grade or younger, the teacher has to disclose that to its parents.
And I think the parents are wanting more in terms of communication between educators and families, especially as indicated by how Virginia's election went, their state election went quite recently. What is it that teachers would be teaching that goes against the bill?
Well, it's not necessarily what they would be teaching. I would say it's what they wouldn't be teaching. So there would be no talk of gender identity, sexuality for those grade levels under this law. However, opponents of the law say, look, these are topics that should be allowed in the classroom, that students should be allowed to explore, to talk about, to learn about with a teacher. For example, if, they don't feel comfortable about doing this at home, and, especially for a student that could be identifying, as gay or, trans under that LGBTQ umbrella, I think there is a concern that if they don't feel comfortable talking about this at home, that they can't talk about this at school and they have nowhere to go. Now, the supporters of the law say that teachers wouldn't have to disclose this to the parents if there are issues at home that they know about. But the problem is, Adrienne, there are so many issues, at-home issues, that teachers often don't know about. So it's a very tricky issue, I think, for a lot of students going through this growing up.
Yeah, and for a lot of people, it's the decision of whether you give the family or the parents more or less rights than you give educators and educational institutions. Really quickly, this would go into effect for this school year. What other states are considering this?
Yeah, we know that there's at least 15 other states, including Tennessee, that are considering this. And, I think with this larger parental rights movement really gaining traction across the country, we can expect to see similar pieces of legislation going into effect. But, speaking from the political part of this, we are seeing that many parts of the LGBTQ community and movement are very much gearing up to challenge this. We've also seen a number of large corporations, including Walt Disney World, based in Orlando, Florida, also challenging this. So this is not a clear-cut victory for supporters of this legislation.
Right. There are a lot of people saying that they question the constitutionality of a bill like this. Julia Manchester, thank you as always.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click on the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.